The perfect beginning. Ngozi and Obinna's love story began like a promise written by fate itself. They met during a university seminar in Enugu. Ngozi was quiet, intelligent, and gentle at speech. Obinna was confident, ambitious, and already building a reputation as a young businessman with big dreams. From the first conversation, something clicked. Within months, they were inseparable. Obinna would drive her back from lectures, and Ngozi would prepare meals for him in her small hostel room, despite rules. They dreamed loudly. Big house, 2 children, a peaceful marriage. 2 years later, they got married in a grand ceremony that shook the entire neighborhood. White lace, loud music, dancing, and promises sealed with tears of joy. Everyone called them the perfect couple. But perfection, in truth, is often the quietest form of illusion. After marriage, reality slowly crept in. Obinna's business began to struggle. Payments delayed, contracts failed, friends disappeared. The luxury they once imagined faded into survival. Ngozi adjusted quickly. She became the stabilizer of the home, managing expenses, encouraging her husband, and hiding her worries behind calm smiles. But something else was missing. Children. Months turned into a year, then 2. Pressure started building from Obinna's family. At first it was subtle comments, then direct questions, then accusations. Ngozi was blamed. Every gathering turned into interrogation. Too silent. But silence, when repeated, becomes a form of agreement. Ngozi underwent every test imaginable. Hospitals confirmed what no one wanted to believe. She was medically fine. When she presented the results, Obinna's family dismissed them. Modern hospitals can be bribed, his mother said coldly. Obinna said nothing. That silence cut deeper than any insult. Ngozi began to change. Her laughter reduced. Her confidence faded. She started waking up earlier and sleeping later just to avoid conversations that always ended in pain. Still, she stayed, because she loved him, or maybe because she believed love required endurance. One evening, Ngozi accidentally found a medical report in Obinna's office drawer. It was his. The diagnosis was clear: male infertility due to a long untreated condition. Her hands shook. For days, she said nothing. She watched him. She studied his silence, his avoidance, his refusal to engage in discussions about children. Then she understood the truth he had buried. Obinna knew, and yet he allowed her to carry the shame. The betrayal was not in the condition, it was in the concealment. Ngozi cried that night without sound. Shortly after, Obinna's mother escalated the matter. She brought another woman to their home, young, fertile, and introduced her as a solution. Ngozi stood frozen as the woman smiled at her like a replacement already approved. That night, chaos erupted. Ngozi confronted Obinna. For the first time, the mask cracked. "I was afraid," he admitted. "If they knew, I would lose everything." Ngozi laughed bitterly. What was I supposed to lose? He had no answer. The argument turned violent. Plates shattered. Words became weapons. Neighbors intervened. But something irreversible had already broken. 2 weeks later, Obinna's business partner, Chucks, was found dead inside his office. Gunshot wound. No forced entry. No clear suspect. Police labeled it suspicious. But whispers spread quickly. Chucks had been close to Obinna. Too close. Rumors suggested financial fraud, betrayal, and hidden deals gone wrong. Then, something worse surfaced. Chucks had allegedly known about Obinna's condition, and had threatened to expose it publicly unless he received a large sum of money. Obinna became a person of interest. But there was no proof. Only silence again, this time heavier than before. After Chuck's death, Obinna changed. He became paranoid, defensive, aggressive. Ngozi also changed, but in a different way. She stopped asking questions, stopped fighting, stopped hoping. One morning, she packed a small bag. She left without shouting, without drama. Only a note. I married a man, not a secret, but I lived inside one. Obinna returned home that evening to emptiness. For the first time, he felt fear, not of society, but of loss. But by then, Ngozi was gone. Months later, Ngozi rebuilt her life in silence. She met Tobe, a humble mechanic known for kindness rather than wealth. He never asked about her past, never rushed her healing, just listened. And slowly, Ngozi learned how to breathe again. She married him quietly. No grand ceremony, no pressure, just peace. And eventually, she became pregnant. For the first time, joy replaced pain. But fate had not finished with her past. One evening, news broke. Obinna had been arrested. The murder of Chucks was no longer just suspicion. New forensic evidence had emerged. A firearm traced back to his warehouse. Phone records showing heated threats. But that was not the worst part. During investigation, police uncovered sealed medical documents. Obinna's infertility was confirmed. The truth exploded publicly. His mother collapsed in shame. The same family that condemned Ngozi now turned on him. Obinna, once powerful, was reduced to a broken man facing both legal consequences and public disgrace. But he still asked one question repeatedly. Where is Ngozi? Ngozi stood in her small home, holding her newborn child when she received the news. Obinna had been convicted in connection to Chuck's murder. But the deeper wound was not legal, it was emotional. He requested to see her one last time. She refused, not out of hate, but out of finality. Instead, she sent a message through his lawyer. You didn't lose me the day I left. You lost me the day you let me carry your shame alone. Obinna broke completely. In prison, he stopped defending himself, stopped eating properly, stopped speaking. The man who once feared exposure now lived inside it. Ngozi never visited, but she named her son Hope, because after everything, that was all she had rebuilt from ashes. Love did not die in the story of Ngozi and Obinna. It was buried alive, under silence, pride, and fear. A marriage once built on dreams, collapsed under the weight of secrets. And in the end, the greatest tragedy was not betrayal, not even murder, but the truth that arrived too late to save anything that mattered.